When you draw blood, are you allowed to draw blood from an IV at this hospital? No?
It's first inserted.
Only first inserted. Why am I not allowed to draw blood from an IV after 2 days, after 1 day? Yes, they say that, but how come it didn't hemolyze when you first poked them? Same catheter, right? So what changed? What's the difference? Yes, that is correct. It does hemolyze, but it's because we are not paying attention to what's happening inside of the vein. Are you guys allowed to insert or observe with ultrasound yet, right now? Good, we're gonna learn how to do it. We're gonna expose you to some of that today. All right, so one of the biggest things is that we are hemolyzing the samples. So low pressure, pull, pause, pull, pause, pull, pause, pull, pause. That helps to refill that blood at the vein. Now, barotrauma. I've been saying cavitation, and I apologize for those of you who've been following. It's not cavitation, it's barotrauma. What is this? This is when there's decrease in pressure, tissue gets damaged, okay? So, this is all the ways that we are hemolyzing our samples. You know, it's interesting. I'm finding that in the entire country of Latvia, the nurses have the same issue. When I go to, so Poland was here, right, Czech Republic. So talking to them and what's happening, it seems like all of Europe has this problem. All nurses have the same problem. In fact, when I did my research, all the nurses in the world, the United States, Canada, they all have the same issue. In fact, when I did more research, the nurses all over our solar system, in Saturn, the nurses in Mars, the nurses in Pluto all have the same problem. In fact, all the nurses in the universe have the same problem. When we draw blood, and we're like, this is so good, we're gonna send it to lab, and lab calls and says, hey, I'm sorry, your sample is hemolyzed. No, it's your fault. We blame lab. Oh, they dropped it, they lost it. No, it's not real. It's actually me. I've been hemolyzing more samples than you can believe before it gets to lab. Let me show you why. So, barotrauma is when we cause a quick decrease in pressure. It rips, here it is. When we pull pressure, oh, that's a tough one. We pop our cells. The red blood cells, they rupture, they explode because we're pulling too much. You know what, let me show you.
Here's a great example of what's happening.
Watch the bubbles. Imagine those are red blood cells.
Why our blood is hemolyzing. So I'm going to suction that with negative pressure. Pull on that.
Did you see the bubbles expanding? Just from pressure.
And then collapse, expand, get bigger.
Look how big that's more than 200%. That's more than 300% expansion.
To our blood cells. So the red blood cells, they expand and then they collapse, expand and collapse. And we are manipulating it for it to expand and collapse. And this is what hemolyzes.
So do you see those bubbles expanding? What happens to our blood cells if we're like, ooh, I got blood, stops. No, I want that blood, give it to me. How many of you have pulled so much that you start seeing bubbles in the syringe?
Usually from arterial lines.
Yes. You know, arterial lines is interesting. I have to think that one through. I think there's something with the oxygenation, which increases gaseous particles. But with venous blood, when you see bubbles, you know what I said? I think it's leaking. And then my friend was like, do you see medication coming out on the patient? No. Is blood coming out? No. Is there fluid coming out when you flush? No. It's leaking. It's not leaking.